Hi, wanted to go over something regarding U6 versus U3 unemployment rate, what the difference between the two are. So to begin with, this right here is the national unemployment rate, which is called U3 unemployment rate. And then we have U6, which is the way that the unemployment rate was calculated prior to the mid-1990s. As you can see, this data here goes back to 1995, so this was the unemployment rate before, or the way they calculated it before 1995. The difference between U3 and U6 is that U6 counts everyone, meaning people who are looking for a job but are unable to find one, whereas U3 it's not actually it's not the same. The difference is that U3, again, like I said before, if you don't have a job for 12 months and you're actively seeking employment but you're unable to find a job, you drop out of the national unemployment rate. Same thing if you drive for Uber for 1 hour a week, you also drop out of the unemployment rate statistics in U3, which would be this, right? But U6 does count that. So let's see where we are in this cycle. Let's compare. I have two pictures right here. This is, you know, from the beginning of the yield curve inversion until it's basically the path from the moment where the curve inverts. In this case, the 10-year minus the 3-month yield curve spread, the delta between the two. And then the path in each one of these examples is the prior recessions. You can see 1968, 73, 78, 80, 89, 2000, 2006, 2019, and 2022. And then I also have this one, which is U6 during the GFC and also versus now. But to begin with, you can see this number right here. It says 16%, right? What this means is that in the past year, again, because I've added the graph to percent change from a year ago, right? So it's very visible for you here. This has gone up to 16.4%. Now, when was the last time we saw a 16.4% year-over-year increase in unemployment rate? It was in between here, right? April to May of 2008. When was the time before that where we saw 16%? August, September of 2001. When was the last time we were up in the national unemployment rate, U3, 22.3% year-over-year increase? Well, let's see, every single time we have had a 23% increase. You're in the middle of the global financial crisis in July of 2008. Keep in mind this number, 22.8, right? Like June, July of 2008. What about prior to that? August of 2001. February 1991. There's gray bars here. Shaded areas indicate US recessions, as you can see right here. Every single time there's a gray bar when you're up this much. March 1982, in the middle of the 1982 recession. What about the 1980 recession? You were up there in April? No, May of 1980, in between April and May of 1980. What about before that? September 1974. All of these are recessions, right? What about February 1970? That was also a recession. What about right here? December 1960, also a recession. December 1957, also a recession. November 1953, also a recession. March 1949, also a recession. So you can see every single time you go up this much, you're always in a recession, but they're not going to announce it until a year later, right? So every single time you go up this much in the past, again, this is a lagging indicator. We're looking at the unemployment rate. You're in a recession, you're in a recession, you're in a recession, 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 recession. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 recessions here. Every single time this happens, you're in a recession. More often than not, you're actually in the middle of it. Now let's look at this. This is what I wanted to primarily focus on in this video. So U6, like I explained, counts everyone, right? And this is at a 16.4% increase year over year, right? The blue line is the GFC, meaning, and you can see it in the top left, right? U6 GFC. The blue line is the path that it took from the moment the yield curve inverted to where the U6 unemployment rate started to move up. The red line is where we are now. Okay? You can see that they're extremely similar. And this is even more visible if you take this example. In all of these examples, at the bottom you can see the months. And then on the left side you can see how much the percent increase in the unemployment rate has been, right? And the red line is where we are today. The orange line is the 2006 till 2009 cycle, right, during the GFC. And we're perfectly following the global financial crisis. I might say, yeah, but that's, it's nothing, right? Well, let's do this. Campbell Harvey. Like he mentions, this is the yield curve inventor, right? Or he's the guy that discovered that predictive power in 1986 between the 10-year, 3-month yield curve spread. And you can see everything is the same. So like they dropped rates and the global financial crisis began. Now they're actually too far behind because when they started dropping rates back then, the unemployment rate was only up, I think, 0.3% above the low of the cycle. Now it's up a full percentage point above the low of the cycle. And they still haven't cut. But you can see where this is headed. So in the next 12 to 18 months, everyone in the world is going to realize how bad things are. Now you have to see things in advance because things get priced in around the time, well, before everyone in the world knows about exactly how bad it is. Let's just put it like that. Because the unemployment rate peaked in October 2009, but the S&P bottomed in March 2009, 6 months prior to the peak, or 7 months, I guess that would be. But these things take a long time to play out. You know how the yield curve inversion occurred in January 2006 between the 10-year, 2-year, and the unemployment rate peaked in October 2009. That's 3.5 years later. Now, the stock market bottomed, what would that be, 38 months after the yield curve, the 10-year, 2-year inverted, right? And so we're on the same path as every other cycle, and I don't see what's different about this. The soft landing narrative was centered around, oh, the unemployment rate won't go up. Show me a time when it starts to go up like this and it stops. It's not a thing. You're going to see it every single unemployment rate reading now. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then people are going to wake up. But by that point, it's going to be too late. So everyone is just, last year they were saying that the unemployment rate won't go up. It's just going to stay at a low level, and then they said it's going to stop going up, or it won't go up much more. That's what they were saying, and now they're saying it's just going to stop all of a sudden. That's not what happens historically speaking. Every single time it goes up, it continues, and this is what the yield curve has been predicting, right? A rise in unemployment rate, which leads to a recession, and in recessions, the average S&P 500 market decline is minus 35%. But I don't think there's anything average about this, and we're more likely to get a 50 to 60% dump in the S&P 500, which sends you to somewhere below the 2022 lows and the COVID lows, and or the COVID lows if it's like the global financial crisis, and everything actually looks the exact same. So I don't see why I wouldn't get that. And so then some people might say, yeah, but this time is different, right? They always say that. Some economists suspect that the yield curve might not be as reliable a predictor of output growth as it used to be. 15th of April 2006. You want some more examples of this? Sure, I'll show you more. It always goes like this. In 2019, they were saying this time is different. 2007, this time is different. 2019, this time is different. And they were saying that based on this video, right?
So your interpretation of the short inversion that we saw on Friday and then where we are now?
Look, when is this? March 2019. Was it different that time? No. Then the recession from COVID came, right? And you can sit there and blame it on the virus. It doesn't matter what your narrative is. There was a recession.
Look, I'm hesitant to comment too much because it's only been a couple of days that we have been inverted, and I will issue those famous words, this time it is different, because I do believe that this time it is different. You have
Yeah, they always say this. This time, this before the GFC, they said it was different as well. It's like I brought up, man. Like, just look at this clown show, okay? Every single time, it's always soft landing, soft landing, soft landing. The unemployment rate won't go up. It's not gonna go up. That's literally what the soft landing means. And this is what always plays out. Look at this. Here. Soft landing expected 2007, 2000, 1989, 1980, 73, 78. Here we go again, man. I mean, we can all see how this is gonna play out. The red line is gonna move up and it's gonna follow the orange line. And I think U3 unemployment rate, the national unemployment rate, the way it's calculated today, could go up to probably between 8 to 12%. It's hard to say exactly how much it will go up. But U6 could go a lot higher this time around, probably 15 to 20%, which is the actual unemployment rate. People looking for a job are unable to find one. And not where they drop out of the unemployment rate statistics if they don't have a job for too long. So, I don't know, guys. It's looking like exactly how it always plays out. And they always say this. It's different this time. The yield curve is wrong. Jesus, man. Oh, it's different this time. I don't see how it's different. I mean, it's playing out the exact same way. It's like sitting in late 2007 and saying, oh, it's different this time. So where are we right now in the cycle? Well, based on the unemployment rate, where we are right here, this is equivalent to somewhere between May to July of 2008. And everyone thought it was going to be a soft landing back then. 3 months later, the narrative shifted and everyone thought it was going to be a Great Depression. And it's just tragic how this plays out. It's the same thing every single time. And I always say it like this. When the yield curve inverts, it's normally just a warning sign. Now, there are moments when the stock market goes down during the inversion, like during the dot-com bubble. When it came out of inversion, Nasdaq goes down 65%. So you could say like, oh, well, just stay in the market until the yield curve re-steepens through a bull steepener and then you get out. Right? But how did that work out for you during the dot-com bubble? And then you didn't see your money for 17 years. Right? That's not even adjusted for inflation because it took from 99 or 2000, I guess, for Microsoft until 2016, 2017 in nominal terms to reclaim its high. Inflation adjusted took 20 years. And that's the greatest company of arguably all time. So I don't really get it. What is it based upon? It's based upon hope because people don't understand the lag effects. And you're gonna see the same thing in 12 to 18 months from now when everything bad has played out, right? In regards to where we are with rate cuts, um, it's like I wrote here. If you look at this, uh, September, October, market tops at the very latest, probably because that's how it played out during the GFC. Just look at the similarities. You went from, and again, you can see it visibly here, right? On the left side, down here, where it says seen this movie before, you can see the 2006 till, well, I guess they hiked rates from June 2004 until June 2006. Right? How do I know that? Well, again, it's simple. June 2004 till June 2006, a 24-month hiking period. They began at 1%, so it's gonna say 1.25 here because of this. The terminal rate got reached here in June 2006 at 5.25%. They paused until September 2007. That's a 15-month pause. Here they were raising rates from March 2022 from 0% up to 5.5%. So nearly twice as, or it's a lot quicker at least. And the terminal rate was reached here in on July 26, 2023. And they're going to cut rates on September 18th, which is the exact same date as back then. Back then it was a 15-month pause period between June 2006 till September 2007. This time it's going to be a 14-month pause period between July 2023 until September 2024. So like I wrote here, 1.1 to 5.25% rate hiking cycle from June 2004 until June 2006, a 24-month rate hiking cycle. And then this time around we had a 0 to 5.5% rate hiking cycle from March 2022 until July 2023, which is a 16-month rate hiking cycle. June 2006 was the last rate hike. July 2023 was the last rate hike. September 18, 2007, the first rate cut, 15-month pause. September 18, 2024, first rate cut, 14-month pause. Back then it topped on October 11, 2007. And like I've also stated here, this is my highlight here. The year is 2007. The stock market is at the all-time high. The yield curve is re-steepening out of inversion. The unemployment rate is rising. The Fed is supposed to cut, or they're about to cut on September 18th. You check the current calendar date, everything is the same. So like all the same arguments you could have used in 2007, they're all using today. And it's just because they haven't studied history, right? And what happens. So where are we in regards to the rate hiking cycle? Well, we're around, you can literally just take where we are right now and compare it to late 2007. So like August, September 2007. But where we are in regards to the employment situation or the unemployment rate moving up, 16% increase in U6 year over year. I mean, you're literally in like April, May of 2008. U3, 23% increase year over year. You're like in July 2008. So in regards to the unemployment rate, you're in the summer of 2008. Whereas with the rate hikes and the pause period and rate cuts that are coming, you're in the fall of 2007. And so it's just funny because these people always say that, oh, it's wrong and so on, but it's playing out the exact same way it always does. And the process that we're talking about is the yield curve inverts. It's a warning sign, right? It tells you a recession is coming 6 to 24 months into the future. And you can sit there and say, well, it's not going to come. The unemployment rate is going up. That is the recession. Like, what are you talking about if you say that? The unemployment rate doesn't go up unless you're in a recession. Show me the time when the unemployment rate goes up like this and you're not in a recession. It's pure delusion. Just look at this. Every single time. There is always a gray bar, which is a US recession. I don't know, man. Same thing every single time. And like Campbell Harvey, the yield curve inventor of the 10-year 3-month, or at least in regards to discovering the predictive power of it. By the September 18, 2007 meeting, the Fed cut rates by 50 basis points. It was too late. They followed with additional cuts in October and December 2007. The NBER dated the business cycle peak recession beginning as December 2007. When did they announce that? December 2008. And some people say, yeah, but GDP growth is still strong. Well, here's another thing. If the economy is so bad, why is the unemployment rate so low? March 7, 2008. You see how this plays out every time. And like bankruptcies are an uptrend. I mean, I don't really know Like, what do you expect? Oh, it's really crazy to me. How everyone's just dismissing this. Anyways, going back to what Campbell Harvey said. This is an email I received a few years ago from a Fed economist who remains anonymous. Quote, the Fed, mainly the economists at the Federal Reserve Board, mistakenly dismissed the yield curve inversion in 2006. That was when I read your paper for the first time. I've been a fan of your paper since then, but the board dominated the view that in the Fed system at the time. And the Fed dismissed the market signal about recession and kept the target rate for another whole year at 5.25% until the fall of 2007, a clear mistake in retrospect. They're doing the same thing again. There's no difference. You can see how this is playing out with the employment situation. And the unemployment rate going up is the recession. I mean, good luck. We'll see in the news headlines 12 to 18 months from now. When they're scared, I'm gonna be the most optimistic person about the future. And I'm gonna turn so fucking bullish, just simply because everything that they're gonna be talking about, I will have seen before, and it'll give me more confidence to flip my bias. And based on the way things are looking right now, it's looking like at the very latest, late 2025, early 2026, I will become a perma bull. But unfortunately, people have to lose their jobs first, and that process is playing out right now, but it's not uh, gotten really bad yet. It's at the beginning stages of when it's pointing vertical, but it hasn't gone vertical yet. But once it changes direction, it has rounded out a bottom in unemployment rate, and it points vertical, it starts to go vertical. And that's when you see 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, possibly even bigger monthly increases in unemployment rate in U3. And U6 got a 0.4% increase last month. So that U6 is underemployment. So just keep that in mind. And it's just not good science, man. If you think it's different this time, that's perfectly fine. That doesn't bother me, but it's pretty clear. Why is the unemployment rate going up if everything is fine? That's all. Peace.